Are you addicted to being busy? In today's culture, being busy is viewed as valuable and important. Hell, the moment we aren't busy, we tend to equate it with being lazy. But is it really that drastic of a scale? We're either lazy or we're busy? No, and this is where a huge source of our problem lies. Hi, if you don't already know, my name is Laura Weiner-Kaiser, and I am just your friendly stress and mindset coach here to help you truly embody the healthiest version of yourself by learning to shape your mindset to overcome stress so you can thrive through the daily life challenges that come your way. The busyness that we associate as important is linked to our stress response. In a weird way, it's kind of its own societal addiction. For example, when I first became a trainer, it was great. I kind of ran my own schedule because that's just how it works. And I loved my job. But I felt like I didn't have a big kid job. I didn't feel like an adult yet. Why? Because stress was missing. I would listen to client after client tell me how stressed out they were. And I was like, well, clearly this job isn't a real job. Yes, it was paying all my bills, doing all the things jobs are supposed to. But because it wasn't stressing me out, I didn't feel like I was an adult. That's the degree that society has infiltrated our mindset to make us think that being busy and always being on the go is a necessity. And in its own way, being busy and being stressed is its own addiction because it does turn on our stress chemicals, cortisol, and regulates our body's hormonal system to a higher threshold of cortisol to hit its quota to make itself feel comfortable and safe. It loops us in a cycle of constantly going, of urgency. We may think we don't enjoy it, but the moment we try to do less, it feels like we're not doing enough. It's not busy or lazy. There's a lot in between. But the moment we're not consumed with the urgency and the busyness, we literally get thoughts of I'm not doing enough because that busy stress addiction is our known state. That's how it goes. We equate being busy to mean that we're doing enough. But for what? Enough for what? In a big way, we've lost our sense of direction and the purpose of why we're here, what we want our lives to represent, because we're too busy trying to prove to ourselves and everyone else that we're enough. But yet again, enough for what? It speaks to a lack of knowing ourselves, a lack of confidence, because we're having to prove to others and ourselves something that is innately true about ourselves. When you have confidence, you don't have to prove it because you know it, you believe it, you trust it. You're not trying to earn something through your busyness. But here's what I find to be the crazy part. The pressure that we're mostly familiar with and associate with being busy is what we say we don't like, but without it, we don't feel efficient. There's actually a study done to see if people were more efficient while feeling busy and stressed versus people who were told the deadline was twice as long and to do their best work. Don't rush, they were told. What they found out is that the people who were told not to rush turned in the assignment at about the same speed, some a little bit sooner, but with way less errors. The reality is, the pressure that comes from within us, that we create for our own lives, it's because of what we make it all mean. If we're busy, then we're doing life right, or we're important, or we're enough, which is literally what we're equating it to for so many of us. It's how we attach ourselves to the fictitious outcome, the story that we're telling ourselves in our head. It's a state of being busy, stressed, a known survival set point. And it's different than, there's a difference between being stressed, feeling stressed, and your stress system actually being activated. Because we're so wired and automatically run, half the time we're feeling stressed, We don't know it. To the point, when I do workshops, I ask people to make a stress scale and get some clarity about what they experience. That's what people struggle with the most, is understanding what they experience when they're stressing out, and completely miss subtle signals before the increased pressure, the busyness, the overwhelming nature. We miss the subtle signs. We're only aware of the overwhelming signs. If you want to be calm and productive, you need to learn to regulate your body and be calm, which means your current set point of survival and known function is at busy and stressed. The moment you try to do less, you're going to feel like you're not doing enough, and that's your brain trying to get you looped back onto the busy stress train, choo-choo, so that it can stay in its known loop of survival. But you're the commander of your own mind. You get to say what you do at the end of the day. So if you really do want to learn to function as calm and productive rather than stressed, busy, and urgent all the time, not if, but when you hear the thoughts that I'm not doing enough and all the mean ones that would come with it, you have to recognize that that's my brain just trying to get me back on the automated loop. And you have to resist it by not doing. It sounds simple, right? It is. Not easy, but simple. It's also uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, life is long. There's never going to be a time where you're like, okay, now is the moment where I'm like, that's a better time to feel uncomfortable than this time. Like, it's never going to feel right, and it takes time and practice. So I guess I'm curious, what's stopping you now? Stress has its purpose, but when we're overrun by our addiction to busy to prove to people that we're enough, all sourcing from a lack of confidence, not only does it hurt us physiologically and mentally, but it drains our energy. That's why everyone's feeling so burnt out and exhausted all the time. Consider this a challenge to move slower. Try to just focus on one task. Make purpose a priority over pressure and urgency. This really does source at a lack of confidence, a lack of awareness of yourself, a lack of what you're truly capable of. We get so overly focused on what we don't do, we're not very clear with what we're capable of and what our strengths are. If you're constantly doubting yourself, seeking validation, second guessing what's the right way to do things, then I strongly encourage you to join my free confidence mini course. It's 3 lessons, 1 intro, 1 exit, just to tell you what you need to do and what to do after that. But it really does help you understand yourself and set a foundation to change, so that busy and stress isn't the only option, but you can actually operate with confidence, faith, trust, peace, stabilize your energy, regulate your emotions, and enjoy your life, rather than looking back and wondering what happened to it. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already joined my Facebook group, which you clearly have because you're here, but if you haven't, make sure you join my Facebook group. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back here at 2 p.m. Eastern Time next Thursday.